Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the Small Brain Podcast, where once again we're in Dominica. I lied. I have some more stuff to say about Dominica. It's raining right now. Should I be filming a podcast? I don't know. I'm not a professional at this shit. We're just gonna. Oh shit. I don't know how much that's getting picked up on the mic, but we're just gonna go with it. Yeah, guys, I really wanted to give Dominica a chance, but I'm just so hot and cold about it. Like some days I love it. Some towns here are great. Some towns are not so great. We're on the coast again, just a few days before we finally leave. And I'll be honest, I'm just counting down the days to leave. I think a month was a little too ambitious here. Jesus. Well, I'll give you guys a little ambiance, a little ASMR podcast. You're welcome. Yeah, like we were in this one town, Wattenwaven. It's like a little mountain town. They have spas, waterfalls, amazing hikes. And we loved it in Wattenwaven. But here on the coast, it's fucking boring, man. Like if you don't have a car, it's impossible to have a consistently good time. Like there are nice beaches and things, but they're far. We've been hitchhiking a lot, which, it's been fun. And of course, I haven't filmed any of it because the most interesting things I just fail to capture on film sometimes. It's just how it goes as a YouTuber. God, are you guys hearing this? Is this too loud? I don't know. Yeah, so places like Wattenwaven are really interesting, really fun, relaxing. But then you come to places like this on the coast where the people just aren't that excited to see you. They're not like, and I don't want to say I need like the red carpet to be rolled out for my ass, but like they're not that excited to share their culture. They're friendly, but they make like very minimal small talk. Beyond like 3 or 4 exchanges, that's pretty much it. Like you're not gonna make a local friend that's a tourist. You're not gonna really dive deep into the culture, even though we've been here a month. You know what I mean? Like we haven't really had a truly local experience. It's been hard. The people just aren't. They don't like open their arms like they do like in other places in the world. Like in Myanmar or like Cambodia or even India. Indians will welcome you into their home. They'll give you a meal. And I'm not saying I need a free meal, guys. I'm just saying like that's a prime example of like locals being excited to share their culture. They want to hear about your culture. They want to share theirs. Like there's like that mutual exchange that I just feel like people are just not interested in here. Maybe it's because it's the Caribbean. It's so close to the U.S. They have access to our culture. We have access to theirs. It's not really like a mystery to either of us. But fucking A, man. I'm a YouTuber. I like to do that stuff. I want to see what it's like to actually live a day in the life of a Dominican person. And I feel like we haven't really been super welcomed here. It's not like anyone's giving us the cold shoulder or brushing us off or anything like that, but like I don't know, man. It's not like a net negative for the country. It's just for me as a YouTuber and as someone who likes to travel that way, it's just not it. Like and it's difficult to travel in Dominica. Like the buses don't run on some days. We were having to hitchhike places. The roads are bad, inconsistent, like infrastructure quality, and that makes it difficult to travel. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's a fact. That's just how it is. But in places like Myanmar or India or Vietnam, those things are still true. The infrastructure isn't great, but there are like huge net positives in that equation, if that makes sense. So like it's worth it, basically. It's worth it in those countries. I'll even say it's even worth it in India. Like very interesting things happen in India. Whether you love it or hate it, it's an interesting place. Same with Vietnam. Like there's a trade-off there. It's difficult to travel, but it's for a good reason. You know what I mean? Like you get some kind of big payoff from it being difficult. The roads are bad in Vietnam, but the views are amazing. The people will welcome you. The food is great. It just, it's funny I'm talking about India and Vietnam, the places where the people hate me the most. But I think after coming to Dominica, it's like put things in a bigger perspective for me. I would much prefer to be. No, I'm not going to say I would prefer to be in India, but Vietnam definitely. Here it's just difficult. It's not difficult for interesting reasons. You know what I mean? It's not challenging in interesting ways. It's just challenging. It's just boring. I hate to put a label on an entire country like that, but you know what I mean? I've been here a month. I feel like I have a decent opinion about the place. And again, this is just my perspective as a YouTuber. It's just hard to make interesting stuff here. It just is, And like, I'm afraid to say, the stuff I filmed, the most interesting things happened were, they don't look great on Dominica. Like someone, homeless people walking around stealing my Coke and shit like that. It just is what it is, baby. It just is what it is. I'm not out to like hurt Dominica or make them look good. It's just I'm just gonna show you my viewpoint. You know what I mean? That's what my channel is. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But yeah, like in places like Myanmar, where it's tough to travel in Myanmar. Like there's police checkpoints, the roads are bad. You don't always get consistent food quality. Like the food was not very good in Myanmar. But there's like you meet such interesting people in these countries, like Vietnam in the north, in the mountains in Vietnam. Like it's a hard to get to place. Really intrepid people go there. Solo travelers, guys that are 18-year-old Germans and they just have time to kill and they want to fucking, you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting group of people. But here in the Caribbean, it's couples. You know what I mean? There's no solo travelers. It's just couples that want to be left alone, basically. No one's really, even the tourists here aren't that friendly. Like you say hello and they're like, hello, or bonjour. There's so many French people too. Don't get me fucking started about the French people. The French people that we've experienced on this trip have been horrid travelers, like very needy people. Anytime we go to a restaurant, it's a whole ordeal when the French people order the food. It's like they all gather around. They pull the waiter over, first of all. So the waiter's wasting his time. They pull the waiter around. They're all talking in a little powwow. Like, what are we going to get? What's this? Where does this come from? What's the flavor like? Dude, yesterday we were in a restaurant and a French guy asked the waiter, poor guy, only waiter working in the whole restaurant. He was busy as fuck. He asked him to go into the freezer and so he wanted to know what dessert to get, right? And he's like, what dessert do you recommend? And he's like, oh, well, this is good. And he's like, oh, great. Can I see it? And he's like, what do you mean, can you see it? And he goes in the freezer and pulls out the bag and shows the guy the dessert. I've never seen someone so needy in a restaurant in my life. Like I worked in a restaurant for a few months in the States. French people were really bad customers there as well, with a few exceptions. But for you to ask a waiter to go into the freezer and pull out a bag and get some tongs and show you the dessert, what it looks like before you're able to order it. What's it, 5, 6, 7, even if it was $10, dude, that's rude as fuck. That's rude, bro. And can you imagine if it didn't look good enough? He'd be like, no, sorry, put it back. Like he's asking for a wine menu at a tropical beach bar. Like, what are you talking about, sir? You're not in France. You're not in France. You're in a different country. Behave differently, please. Please. After them, another French family came in. 3 people. Same thing happened. Not the same thing. Not as bad, but still. They're crowding around the menu. They're asking him to explain each dish. The guy barely knows how to speak English, first of all. I think he was like Haitian, maybe. I told him, my girlfriend told him beef burger for her food. We knew exactly what we wanted. We told him 2 hamburgers and French fries and 2 cups of ice because we had juice. I thought that was a little needy, but, we'll let it slide, okay? It's not as bad as the French. And, my girlfriend said beef burger, and he gave her kind of a confused look, like, beef burger? What? Because they had beef and chicken, right? He's like, beef burger? And so I'm like, okay, either he's brand new here or English isn't his first language, but either way, he doesn't know the menu that great if he doesn't know beef burger. You know what I mean? And so they're asking him to explain all these dishes and stuff, and I'm just like, man, this poor fucking guy. Just give him a break. Just order what you want. There's 3 things on the menu. There's burgers, there's chicken wings, there's fish. I think 2 kinds of fish. I mean, come on. How hard is it, guys? Just be better people. I don't know what to say. And we've experienced that everywhere. And, you see French people, and they just kind of give you the cold shoulder, like, hello, hi. They're just not interested. I feel like there's something about Americans that they're very outgoing in their friendliness. Like, you have some people who are friendly, like the British or who else? Japanese people are very friendly, but they're not like out of their way friendly. Like, if you make the first move, if you kind of initiate contact, they're going to be really friendly. They're going to be great hospitable people that are excited to share their culture. But something about, the Dominicans and, I hate to compare the two, but the French, they're just not like, the French could be friendly. I don't know. I haven't talked to all of them. But the ones I've talked to were just like, yeah, what's up? Hi. Like just the bare minimum amount of communication to get them through this ordeal of conversing with you. You know what I mean? And again, maybe it's something to do with the people that come to Dominica. Maybe that's a type of person that I just don't really gel with. But yeah, me and Sarah have had trouble like making actual friends here. We had two friends actually, Kevin and Karen. They were two of our diver friends in Soufriere in Dominica. Great, amazing people, really friendly, but they're also American. I don't know, maybe I'm just America centrist in my small brain, but I just feel like I just get along with Americans better. They just can hold a conversation with strangers better. They'll go out of their way to make you feel comfortable. Like, I don't know. It's just something about traveling where I feel like, all the 18-year-old German kids or like girls studying abroad are like, oh, I'm going to go study abroad and learn about the world. And they come back and they're like, oh, well, actually, it's pronounced like, croissant or whatever. And they come back like a little more Eurocentrist. I feel like the opposite happens with me. When I travel, I love America even more. So, what does that say about me? I don't know. I got a lot of people in my comments. This episode's brought to you by Monster Energy. No, it's not. It's not. I'm just a douchey 13-year-old kid playing Xbox, yelling at his stepdad. That's who I am. That's who we are, guys. What was I talking about? I get a lot of people in my comments saying that for someone so well traveled, that I'm very close minded. And you know what? There might be something to that. Um, I don't know. I'm 30 now. I feel like I'm developing my preferences, I'm fine tuning them. I know what I like, I know what I don't like. And honestly, I feel like the way I talk is the way regular travelers talk in hostel bars, in restaurants. I feel like this is how people talk. This is how regular people talk in their normal lives. I'm not going to come on here and romanticize everything. I'm going to give you my honest opinion as if you were just my friend. So, yeah, I guess that makes me small brained. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what I think. So, if you don't like it, it's not for you. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to like just come on here and bash everybody, but like something about the French, dude, they feel very entitled to me. And maybe this is just like a restaurant centrist viewpoint because I worked in a restaurant and we had a ton of French people who insisted on giving horrible tips because that's not how they do it in France and they disagree with the tipping culture. Okay, well, I don't make the rules. I'm a fucking waiter. You know what I mean? I make $20 an hour. I'm not. You're in DC. There are lawmakers here. There are actually people who could, and you're taking it out on me. Like, it just doesn't. And they all want cappuccinos. They're so fucking needy. Anyways, I'm just a resentful service industry person. Before you think I'm a horrible, stinking racist, I'm just a service industry person, all right? Who worked on Embassy Row with all the European diplomats who were rich and didn't pay taxes and also didn't tip. So, who's really the bad guy here? Who's the bad guy? All right, let's see what else we got in our notes here as the wind's picking up. I don't know how much of the mic is catching all this noise, but whatever. We're outside, baby. Yeah, it's like the people you meet here are not super interesting or not super interested in me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that interesting. But it seems like when I was in Myanmar, another, Jesus Christ, a place where it's also difficult to travel, I met really interesting people. And here it's difficult to travel, and I'm meeting uninteresting people and fucking snobby French people. It's just, I feel like the Caribbean, I think, just attracts a person that doesn't want to be bothered. They're on their, 2-week vacation for the year. Maybe they're honeymooning. They don't want to fuck with you. And it makes for a kind of a boring place to meet other travelers. Like, other than Kevin and Karen, I haven't met any interesting travelers. Whereas, like, in Myanmar, dude, I met people who had like been to every country in Southeast Asia. I had met solo travelers who were on a budget for like a year. I met people who like digital nomads, people that were like making a living online, like people with a story who wanted to share the story. People who had interesting things to contribute to conversation. People who were outgoing and friendly and like intrepid and well traveled, and they had this, amazing backstory. And I'd feel like here it's just it's like the same kind of person that would go to Jamaica on a honeymoon. No offense to anybody, that's fine if you want to do that. It's that same kind of person that is just like in their bubble and doesn't want to be talked to. You know what I mean? They come to Dominica. It's like an alternative Caribbean country. And I don't know, maybe it was like idealistic for me to think I could film really cool stuff in Dominica. And I feel like I got some good stuff. You know what I mean? Went to a resort, went to kind of a rundown city in Dominica, and witnessed, yeah, anyways, if you've seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, and I'm getting like third world fatigue here. And I felt that like on my last big trip. I went from Ireland to Japan, every country in between except for Iran. Mostly, 90% land borders. I had to skip a few like Iraq, Iran, Thailand, Myanmar, India, Myanmar. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. Yep. I went to every other land border in between Ireland and Japan. I only skipped two, Iran and Myanmar border. And Iran was the only country I missed outright. We'll go back someday. We'll go back. I'll make sure I wear my hijab. But, if you look at a map right now, all those countries, most of them after Turkey are in the developing world. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And so most of my year was spent in the developing world, bad infrastructure, unreliable stuff. You know what I mean? It's just the third world. It is what it is. There's pros and cons to it. But after, a year, realistically like 7 months in the third world or the developing world, I don't want to trigger anybody. Got people in my comments talking about third world is fucking derogatory. I don't know what you're talking about. People in Colombia call themselves the third world. It's not. I'm not name calling. I'm just labeling something. So, again, if you don't like it, don't watch. All right. After the whole Vietnam saga, I'm just really jaded with haters and naysayers. I'm like, all right, just don't. You don't have to participate in this. Okay, it's the internet is a big place. There's plenty of other travel people to watch. But I got something that I would describe as third world fatigue. The best way I can describe it is just like you're just tired of shit kind of not working the right way. Like things not showing up on time. The biggest thing, and this is like a small thing in the grand scheme of things and all the problems you can have in your life, but the menus in the restaurants just they're not reliable. Like if you have a menu that's like written in chalk, signifying you can erase it at any point and it's most likely the menu of the day, it's like what you have fresh. And there's stuff on there that like it's no longer on the menu. Like if you're out of fish or you're out of bread, fucking erase or just scratch through the fish sandwich. I don't understand. Like you'll go to places in Vietnam, Colombia, whatever, name your fucking developing country, and they just don't have the stuff on the menu. And I'm like, why is it still on the menu? It's a laminated menu. You can just put an expo marker and just scratch through it. It's not that hard. I don't know. I know that's like an extremely nitpicky thing to care about, but it's just something that annoys me after a while. It's like you go somewhere, you deliberate on the menu, the waiter comes over, and you're like, I'll have this, please. And he's like, we don't have that. And I'm like, why is it on the menu? Why? Why? The menu's written in chalk. You wrote it today. What? Just erase it. I don't get it. And I feel like I still have some third world fatigue hangover from my long trip. Like I got, you guys remember that journey from Vietnam to Japan was tough. That last episode of Ireland to Japan on a motorcycle was the human trafficking episode. You know what I mean? Almost got human trafficked. I think I had the flu when I filmed it, by the way. Like I was very sick. I got a COVID test. It wasn't on camera, but I was sick. I had just crashed my motorcycle. What else happened? I got scammed at the airport for the fucking KETA for the layover in Seoul. That was a tough episode, and a lot of third world fatigue was compounding in that episode. And then I finally got to Japan. I sat down and had the delicious curry in a place where I used to live. It feels like home to me. I'm very comfortable in Japan. And that was just kind of like a climax moment, a little You know what I mean? It just felt so good to get back in the developing world after all that bullshit we went through. And I feel like I still have some hangover from that. Like, I just have a little impatience with the developing world these days. Like, it comes and goes, right? Like some days I'll be like, yeah, yeah, man, island time. Like it comes when it comes, man. Like, whatever. I just sit for the bus and whatever. We just chill. It's no big deal. We don't really have anything to do here. It's not that big of a deal. And then some days I'm like, God damn it. Like, why is there not just a bus schedule? I don't know. I just get on my fucking indignant, like, angry tourist. I know I shouldn't. You know what I mean? I should just be grateful to be here, but some days it just is what it is, baby. Like, you just get impatient. You just get kind of tired of being in the third world. So, yeah. And, you know, I don't want to like say Dominica's all bad. It's just for who I am, for what I'm trying to do, for the budget we're on. It's just not the best place for us. It's kind of expensive for what you get. Like, you can get much higher value in Southeast Asia. You know what I mean? Like Bali, stuff like that. Like, I hate to say it, it's just true. Like, we've looked at like prices and stuff around the world, and Dominica is like, it's just not a great value. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. And again, for who I am, it's not the best place. Things to do here: scuba diving. That was super fun. I'm not gonna make a YouTube about scuba diving. Sorry. Canyoning also. Like, you rappel down these ropes, you swim in the canyons, you jump off cliffs. Super fun. I'm not gonna film a YouTube about it. So it's like, I don't know. I don't want to be like a negative propaganda channel. It's just for what I'm trying to film. It's just not here. You know what I mean? So yeah. But some really interesting stuff has happened, not on camera. We hitchhiked with this dude who had like a goat in the back, a dude up front. This is super random. The dude up front had like a bottle of piss, or like in a little doctor's cup. You know what I mean? In like a bag. And all these groceries. He bought like a fresh mahi mahi on the side of the road. There's a goat in the back. There's piss. There's a piss jug up front. This dude that's driving this guy is American. He's super friendly. From Dominica. He buys us a fruit. Like, weird, quirky, fun stuff that unfortunately wasn't able to get on camera. Also, this dude brought us into his house. We were walking down the street after scuba diving. Just a really sleepy little like scuba diving town, little coral reef, like fishing village. Amazing place. It's called Soufriere, Dominica. I wonder if I should have just told you that. I don't want it to get ruined by a million people going. But yeah, this guy, he just invites us into his house. He made it all himself. There's like a seashell, like walkway. There's like natural ceiling made of like leaves and canopy, and like he, made his own plumbing, and like he has this little like cute little cottage he's made, and he's like, yeah, man, just come in. We'll talk anytime. We'll talk about whatever you want. We'll smoke a joint, and you can film a YouTube video. And that was a damn shame I didn't go back to see that guy, because he was a real legend, really friendly, just sweet guy. He had like a guest book in his house where people like me that had come in and just chatted with him would sign the book and say a few nice things about the guy, and like, recommend other people come and stuff like that. And it was just like a sweet, nice, wholesome experience. And it just is what it is. Sometimes you can't pull out the camera fast enough. You know what I mean? Like, the thing with filming videos is like, I don't know. It was just such a spur of the moment thing. I wasn't filming before that. There's no like overarching story to go with it. It was just so random, but such a great experience. I don't know. Maybe I'll write about it in a book someday or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, really interesting stuff with that dude. And really a shame, because just what a legend. What a legend. Yeah, Dominica is more like the nature island. It's for like hiking and renting a car and like going scuba diving, and it's just all the stuff that I'm not gonna make. I feel like that's more for the Kara and Nate crowd. You know what I mean? The kind of typical travel vlog. They have a drone. They have fucking nice music. They have 10 things to do there, and I'm just not gonna make that. So it's just not for me. Okay, I'm not saying you shouldn't come to Dominica. I'm saying I'm bored here. Yeah. Let's see where we're at. What are we at? 25 minutes? Okay. Well, I think that's enough bitching and complaining about Dominica for one day. I promise this is the last video, last podcast we're going to make here because we're leaving in 2 days. So, yeah. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.